products available. You'll find Little Shavers on Facebook and online at littleshavers.com. That's LILshavers.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Hello and welcome to Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for tuning in with us here at 4 o'clock hour here on Dollars and Cents. If you're a 9 to 5er, you got 53 minutes, 40 seconds until we hit that finish tape. And I appreciate so much you spending that time with us here as we're giving attention to all things economic and financial. Now, you know, as a previous listener to Dollars and Cents, that we're talking on any number of subjects. We're looking at things, sometimes macro, global sorts of things, but also seeking to break it down to an individual level, perhaps part of your experience, perhaps part of your colleagues, family members, experiences. We do that intentionally because we want to be relevant and certainly helpful as you're making your financial decisions. But you also remember, again, as a previous listener, that nothing that we're talking about here is intended as a specific recommendation for you. Meaning that even though we're going to be talking on specific investments, investment styles, companies, I promise we're going to hit some today. We got big earnings report yesterday. We're going to be talking about it with one of the biggest companies literally on the planet. That in doing so, whether we're looking at things in a favorable or maybe not so favorable light, that nothing that we're talking about here is intended as a specific recommendation for you. Meaning that even though we're talking on these things and looking at them again in ways in which they might be a part of your experience, it's very, very important. And we highly recommend that you reach out to your tax advisor, to your financial advisor, or if you'd like to reach out to us at North Main Financial Group, love to hear from you. Love to chat about your journey in the financial universe. Online, you can find us at northmainfinancial.com. That's north like the direction, Main like the street, financial.com, northmainfinancial.com. We have a contact page on there. You leave us your contact information and let us know the most preferred and desirable ways for us to contact you, again, at northmainfinancial.com. You're also welcome to call our offices, call us in this office, in this studio. Are you kidding me? 844-STUDIO-4, 844-788-3464 here in the studio. Love to hear from you. If there's something that's hitting your headlines, obviously I can't give you a specific recommendation over the air. You know how that works. Everybody's situation is unique, but I certainly could talk in general ways. And certainly if I don't know, I'll let you know that as well. But happy to hear from you, especially if there is a particular subject, title matter, looking at the kinds of things that again, are on your headlines that you may want to discuss. So feel free to give us a call here in the studio, again, at 844-STUDIO-4, 844-788-3464. All right, let's get into it. What's hot? You know, I used to call this a segment. We spend a lot of time here on Dollars and Cents now on What's Hot. The headlines, I guess this has been true for a long time. That's what I'm talking about, Producer Bill. Literally on fire, right? This is the kind of stuff, well, I hope we're not literally on fire. At least that would not be good. But to be hot, what's hot? I mean, these are the kinds of things that, in my end of the universe anyhow, probably yours, at least with some of these things, probably are going to be the kinds of things that you're seeing as well. If you spend any amount of time scouring business news headlines, you're probably going to recognize most, if not all, of the things that we'll be talking about here. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. We're actually going to start a little bit different. Now, I say that not because this isn't in the what's hot category. This is more on the economic end of things, and I think really more of a commentary. And I'm Producer Bill. I'm going to bring you in early here, and I think. Actually, you guys may have even chatted about this on Good Morning LKN. Not sure. Actually, I believe that you have. By the way, Good Morning LKN, 7 to 9 every single weekday, Monday to Friday. Mamie, Justin, Bill. Tune into that. Make sure that you're not just listening to Dollars and Cents here. Tune into the morning show, Good Morning LKN, again from 7 to 9. Great stuff and great people too. Lots of fun, and they have couple of good laughs along the way, which is part of what I love the most of you guys doing that.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. All right, so I think you guys talked about this, but I'm still going to bring it up. It's a very interesting phenomenon, and I say it because, and I'm looking at college athletics right now. I say it because for the balance of the college athletic experience here in this country, it was illegal. When I say the balance, I mean pretty much since formation of college athletics, it was illegal for college athletes to be paid. Now here within the last couple of years, literally starting just a couple of years ago, 2021, I think is when the law shifted that allowed for players in all sports, male and female, if they were able to sign a contract with somebody who would be willing to pay them to use their name, image, likeness, NIL contracts for short. And I'm bringing up one in particular here. So these have become very pervasive. As a matter of fact, I mean, you look at some college sports teams now, I mean, there are teams that are very nearly every single player on the team, obviously looking at smaller teams like like basketball or baseball, where very nearly every player has some level of NIL contract. Pretty amazing stuff. Football, you obviously have a whole lot more players, so probably not everybody in those instances. But I'm looking at one specifically that has really hit the headlines here. First time, Jaden Rashada. I don't know if you've had a chance, Producer Bill, take a look at this. Interesting story. And the story in itself is not unique, but what is unique is what Jaden has done. And so Jaden, without getting too far into the details, was originally looking at University of Miami, playing some football, quarterback. And looking at University of Miami, and he was promised, it doesn't say how he was promised, so I don't want to postulate if it was in writing or verbal or otherwise, about $9 million in an NIL deal. Which, first of all, just sidebar, holy smokes, 18 years old playing football. You just get out of college and somebody says, yeah, to use your NIL, $9 million bucks. Man. Anyhow, so obviously one of the top players in the country, if not arguably the top player in the country. So he was looking at Miami. Well, then the University of Florida comes knocking. And essentially, at least according to published reports, this is in the Wall Street Journal, so it's out there. This is not something that's insider or anything like that. The University of Florida comes knocking, probably because they heard that this guy was going to Miami. And, well, there may or may not be some level of highly competitive vigor between the University of Florida and the University of Miami. Anyhow, basically what was promised, more. So not just the $9 million, upwards over $10 million is what has been reported.
All right, now we're talking my language.
I mean, not you. Yeah. You're an 8-digit guy.
Yeah.
9-digit. No, but eight digits. Like, yeah. Okay, I hear it. And
that's.
I mean, over $10 million, and a certain. Again, this appeared to be more in verbal. There was going to be a certain amount up front and a certain amount paid over a certain level of time, right?
Right.
But the upfront was supposed to be in the neighborhood of $1 million, apparently.
Wow.
And the upfront to him was something like 50,000 or 100,000. So there was a break in the promise there. And so now, because of that break in the promise, he ended up, he went to Arizona State, and then now he's at Georgia.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's made a lot of moves here in the last couple of years. So he's at Georgia now, playing there. But the reason why I'm bringing all this up, so give him all that background, he has now gone back and sued the University of Florida and this booster supporter, whoever it was, who I think was going to provide some of the financing, if not all of the financing for this NIL deal. He has gone back, and at least to my knowledge, this is the first instance, or at least on a big scale, where I've heard about this, where he has gone back to sue for breach of contract.
Wow.
I think that's very interesting.
Yes.
Because now we're going to get into a space, and once you bring, now I'm not an attorney, so let's be very clear on that. Even if I did stay at Holiday Inn last night, I am still not an attorney, right? But so I do know, I cannot speak into the legal aspect with any kind of authority here, but this will open up a significant window in terms of how these deals are negotiated.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
Right.
And whether it's going to be positive or negative, I think that's still yet to be seen, because it's the Wild West. I mean, I talk with some of these college folks, producers. I mean, the recruiting process, it's crazy.
I can't even imagine how it all goes down.
How do you do
it?
Like
the conversations.
Yeah.
I can't even put myself in that.
I mean, it used to be something like for the University of Florida, come and play for the chance of a national championship.
Right.
Now it's, we'll give you a couple of $1 million.
Exactly.
I mean, wow. Wow. I mean, and then again, if you have this breach of contract idea, is that going to dampen the market? Is that going to accelerate the market?
Correct. Got to dot your I's, cross your T's, right?
Cross your T's, indeed. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, folks, on WSIC here on Dollars and Cents. Hang with us here as we get into the second quarter, ringing that bell. Coming back in a few seconds.
We'll have more of Dollars and Cents with certified financial planner Joshua Dobi following these brief messages on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
We're really starting to lock into a summertime weather pattern over the next few days and into the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Heat and humidity coming back. We're in the upper 80s this afternoon with sunshine to start, but dodging scattered showers and thunderstorms for the afternoon and evening. Overnight, a partly cloudy sky. The showers and storms will taper off. Temperatures step down into the mid-60s. It's a copy and paste kind of weather day heading into our Friday. And that's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like Greystone Lodge in Boone.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live in Mooresville offers up free music on Thursday, May 23rd with a performance by area favorite and Carolina's premier rock and roll cover band, Black Glass. Event time is 6:30 p.m. with the concert powered by Waves Entertainment beginning at 7. Friday is Live Under the Oaks at Brookdale Village in Huntersville. Justin Minton's solo music performance of rock, R&B, and soul begins at 6 p.m. Grab your chairs and head to the Brookdale stage on Friday night for free music by Justin Minton. The Charlotte Motor Speedway has high-speed NASCAR racing for Memorial Day weekend. On Friday, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series holds the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. The ARCA Series is also in action on Friday with the General Tire 150. On Saturday, the NASCAR Cup Series holds their qualifying session, and the Xfinity Series races in the Bet MGM 300. Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series competes in one of their crown jewels, the 65th running of the Coca-Cola 600. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for tickets and information. The Kane Center for the Arts welcomes Philip Hamrick on Friday, May 31st for his album release celebration. The singer-songwriter from Mooresville releases his first solo album as an independent artist with The Tunnel Club. Hamrick's personal stories are delivered through vocals and acoustics. Doors open at 7 p.m. with Hamrick's The Tunnel Club album release celebration at 8 p.m. on Friday, May 31st. For tickets, more information on this show and many other programs, visit CaneArts.org. That's C-A-I-N Arts.org. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Making your money make sense. Dollars and Cents with CFP Joshua Dobi on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us into the second quarter football reference. Producer Bill, 104 days?
104 days. I think I can actually get you something more.
Even like an hour by hour, maybe? Like how many hours?
Yeah, 104 days, 7 hours, 41 minutes, and 36 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Football season's coming.
And counting.
That being said, though, I have taken in just primarily because I've spent a little bit too much time in airports here recently, not by choice. And I've taken in some of this playoff hockey. I'll tell you what.
It's a good watch.
It is a great watch. It really is. And I am whatever's the opposite of someone who is gifted at even standing on my own 2 feet, let alone on skates. The athleticism it just
correct.
And I know that's true for every large big
sure,
time
but
sport.
the focus and you're on skates.
It's unreal. It's unreal. And
you're
the
on skates.
speed.
Yeah.
The speed of these, it's just unreal.
Yeah.
How these guys move. Fun to watch, anyhow. So I've been watching that. And, of course, playoff hockey, it's that much more intense. It's a lot of fun in doing that here. But I appreciate so much hanging with us here. Into the second quarter, just before we went to break there, hearing from our sponsors here on WSIC, talking about this NIL process, this name, image, likeness process in not just Division I athletics, but primarily in Division I athletics because that's where the highest exposures are. And
I think I want to be a college football player when I grow up.
Amazing.
Right.
I mean, if we're I know I'm cherry picking here. I'm choosing the ones that are the biggest dollar amounts and obviously the splashiest headlines.
That's what I'm going for.
So. Well, you could. You were literally a professional. You got paid to play a sport. Those of you who don't know, Producer Bill, professional lacrosse player.
It was in the same.
Amazing.
Same ballpark as the figures we were talking about.
See, I know it. I see it. And I know you're too
pretty
modest.
Big ballpark. Though.
It's a big. But you got paid to play a sport. I was not kicked off the field. That was actually my win. That was it. There was no compensation. Right. No. Just I wasn't kicked off the field by the coach. So that was about it. But amazing stuff. Amazing. First of all, the dollars involved. Even with some of these teams that they're dropping, okay, so maybe it's not $9-10 million a player, but I've talked with any number of college coaches from big time Division I to let's say smaller time, meaning it's not maybe the biggest names that but still in Division I. The number of dollars, of course, because now we have the transfer portal as well, and so it's the Wild West. I mean, a player doesn't get the kind of playing time that he or she thinks that that they should. Jump in the portal and see who wants them.
Right.
And then once they're in the portal, they're getting offered NIL money in order to bring them over. I mean, it's professional athletics.
I mean,
it
the
truly
recruiting
is.
has got to be insane.
I don't know how you do it.
Exactly.
How
Do you
do-
go for high school kid? Do you go for this portal? I
Sure,
mean,
sure. And I mean, if you do go to the portal, and maybe even for the top level high school kids, you better have a big bag of money. I mean, you better be Santa Claus, right? It's just a very, very interesting dynamic, and it's going to shake out over the years. It's still relatively new. There's still a lot of, just figuring out, as we talked about with this lawsuit for Jaden Rashada, just about how that shakes out. That will change the landscape. It will change how dollars are moved, and it will also change the feeling by the universities about what their obligation is. Is it really a discussion? Is it really a chat? Or is there an obligation? Is there a contractual obligation to follow through? So it's going to be very interesting to see that. But at any rate, so yeah, 104 days, 7 hours, 20 minutes, and 16 seconds until we get to the start of football season as well. All right, so we talked NIL, we talked sports here, natural segue to, you betcha, seafood. Now, I know you guys were talking about this on Good Morning LKN as well. Got to bring it up, though, because the name is almost ubiquitous here in this country. And I did not realize until they declared bankruptcy this past week about how long Red Lobster has been around. I mean, 56 years.
wow.
50. I did not know that. Now, apparently, wherever I was, wasn't blessed to have as many Red Lobsters when I was growing up, because I didn't really catch on to them until, let's say, late 80s, 1990s, and understand that they were around. But they have struggled a lot since COVID, meaning that just from a financial standpoint, they were bought by a private equity firm about 5 years ago. They struggled a lot through COVID, took on a ton of debt, and really have struggled financially. And then last year they had an all-you-can-eat shrimp deal. I mean, you just understand where I'm going with this. They had an all-you-can-eat shrimp deal. And again, I do not mind signing up for something like that. So let's be very clear. This is not me looking down the slope of my nose. I will be the first in line to do that. Especially
it's dangerous.
Especially if you give me some cheddar biscuits on the side.
Yes.
I mean, I could do that. Anyhow, all right. They did this all-you-can-eat shrimp deal that was $20. They had so many folks come and consume so much shrimp. No kidding. They literally lost $11 million in a quarter. I mean that's amazing.
Right.
I mean, and then they raised the price to $25. Didn't slow it down.
No.
Did not slow it down. I mean, the people are still showing up, lining up, and I mean, you're literally losing money because people are eating so much shrimp. I mean, it's not funny, but it's a little bit funny because I do have I think you probably do. You probably listeners, you probably have a visual in your mind now as well about the lines going.
The table.
In,
I mean,
and we're not leaving. We're coming in. You open up at 11 a.m. You want to kick us out at 9 p.m. You said all you can eat, and that's what we're doing. Right here. Oh my gosh, that's. But yeah, so not cool. So it literally is going into bankruptcy. The assets are going to be sold off, and the handful of stores, there are still I shouldn't say a handful, a collection of stores that are still out there, restaurants rather, that are going to continue to operate for at least a little bit of time. But it's probably going to go to liquidation, and that's too bad. That really is, because that's certainly home. I mean, a lot of folks, I'll probably put myself in that camp, kind of figured out what seafood was by going to Red Lobster.
Right.
That was kind
I
of
got to change my reservations
first.
now.
You
got to look into that.
You got to make sure the restaurant's still open, right? You got to make sure that they haven't closed on you to be able to check that out. So very interesting. Red Lobster, really an icon here as far as the restaurant experience is concerned over the last 50 plus years, going into bankruptcy. Let's keep going. Companies wise here. Earnings. Now I got to bring up this company. Now I also got to say, as I'm doing it, that is a publicly traded company. You may recognize the name as I say it. It has, and if you're watching me on the socials, you can see what my body language is saying. It's become a little bit too much of a darling. That's my opinion on that, right? It's become really a darling of Wall Street. Lots of money in it. Huge company, over $1 trillion market cap, especially after the move that it's made today, as of this live broadcast, or as of the time of this podcast, if you happen to listen to the recording. And I'm looking at NVIDIA. NVIDIA, ticker symbol Nancy Victor David Alpha, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold NVIDIA. The expectations from a financial standpoint coming into their earnings report yesterday were off the chart. I mean, it just unreal. I mean, we're talking about like 100%, 200% growth on top line, bottom line. And I'm saying top line revenues, bottom line net profits, just unreal expectations, at least in my end of the universe, for any company. I don't care how well you're doing. That kind of year-over-year growth is unnatural. And folks, they beat it. They not only hit those expectations, but they beat it. I mean, it was unreal. I mean, sales tripled in a year. We're not talking about a small company. This is not a company being run out of somebody's garage that, had $100 of sales last year and now it's $300 of sales. No. We're literally talking about tens of billions of dollars, now hundreds of billions of dollars of movement with an exceptionally large company, again, from a market cap standpoint. Unreal. I mean, just unreal. I mean, the stock was up another 10% today as I went online or went live here, and just an amazing company, and they're doing it. I mean, if you look at them, and does that mean that it justifies the stock price? That's up to you. Like I said, there's not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold NVIDIA. I'm just bringing you the news here, that it is amazing how they have continued to produce. I mean, things like growth of margin of 400% year over year. I mean, that again, if you're a lemonade stand and you have 400% growth, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. We're talking about $1 trillion plus company. Amazing to see that kind of growth. And like I said, it's become a darling. When I say it's a crowded trade, what that means is just a tremendous amount of movement in the shares in terms of the number of shares in a given day. So it's a very crowded trade. Tons of private money in it, tons of public money in it, lots of hedge fund, they say almost all hedge funds have some level of position in it. Not a whole lot of short buying, meaning that bets on that it's going to pull back in stock price. Just really interesting company. By the way, if you're not familiar with NVIDIA, they are the producers, they are the designers. They don't actually produce anything. Very interesting. When I say they don't produce anything, I'm talking about the manufacturing aspect of things. But the design is what they do, and then they third-party the manufacturing. It's a very interesting model. What it does is keeps their capital expenses extremely low by comparison, because they're not even buying the raw materials. They third-party that stuff. Very interesting dynamic, very interesting business model. Because generally, like companies like, let's say that would be competitors, really not, but at least also make semiconductors or computer chips, Intel. So Intel does the design build. They do the design, and then they also manufacture it. They actually build the chips themselves in their own facilities. NVIDIA doesn't do that. They actually do the design and third-party the manufacturing. Very interesting. Keeps their CapEx very low. It's a very, very interesting process, and they just keep reinvesting into the best minds literally on the planet to be able to design what's next. Really where their focus is, and certainly that was a big part of their earnings call yesterday, had to do with AI. I mean, AI is it's on everybody's lips, it feels like, on Wall Street with regards to artificial intelligence, what that means, what are the kinds of hardware pieces that are necessary to power AI. If we're talking about everything from ChatGPT to probably how cars are going to be designed here in the next generation. Certainly Tesla is doing that. Another ticker symbol, Tom, Sam, Larry, Alpha, going through a rough time right now. Not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold them either. But certainly Tesla is doing that. I mean, from an artificial intelligence standpoint, implementing that into the production of their vehicles already. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. Again, huge company with NVIDIA. And I get leery. I mean, their stock price, and it sounds crazy, it's up over 100% just since January 1st. That's not natural, folks. I don't care how good of a company you are. That's not natural. Now, does that mean that it's going down? Not necessarily. We're going to have to wait and see, as with all of these things. But it does mean that you should have a point of pause or maybe even a point of caution as you're considering it, whether you have it in your portfolio or you're looking to make that as another investment. Make sure that you do so for the right reasons. Well, friends, we're going to hear from our sponsors here on WSIC and Dollars and Cents.
There's more of Dollars and Cents with certified financial planner Joshua Dobi on the way from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
We're really starting to lock into a summertime weather pattern over the next few days and into the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Heat and humidity coming back. We're in the upper 80s this afternoon with sunshine to start, but dodging scattered showers and thunderstorms for the afternoon and evening. Overnight, a partly cloudy sky. The showers and storms will taper off. Temperatures step down into the mid-60s. It's a copy and paste kind of weather day heading into our Friday. And that's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The Statesville Family YMCA reminds you that older adults and those with chronic health conditions don't need to feel they must accept impaired balance and limited mobility. Build strength, improve balance, and gain confidence in your mobility through the Moving for Better Balance program. For questions and additional information, email C. Mullins at ymcanwnc.org.
Yes, spring is here, and at Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln, we want to make sure your vehicle is in tip-top shape, ready for the spring driving months, moving right into summer. Bring that vehicle by one of the locations here in Statesville. Let us do a complimentary multi-point vehicle check for you, just to make sure everything's good to go. Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln. You know where we are?
Get in to Randy Marion Chevrolet, Randy Marion Ford in Statesville.
Horn Heating and Air Conditioning is looking for HVAC rock stars. If you want to work for a company that values its employees with great pay and benefits, then give Horn Heating and Air Conditioning a try. Horn Heating and Air Conditioning, hornhvac.com.
Join us on Sunday for a doubleheader of racing. At 11 a.m., it's the Indianapolis 500, and then at 6 p.m., it's the Coca-Cola 600 from Charlotte Motor Speedway on WSIC.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Just minutes ago, ahead of Wall Street's closing bell, and stocks are taking a real beating today. That's on rising worries that the Federal Reserve won't be able to cut interest rates at all this year because of stubbornly high inflation. Right now, the Dow down about 600 points, 1.5%. The NASDAQ, 0.5% lower. The S&P down 0.75%. No records today. But with blockbuster demand for artificial intelligence chips, shares of AI chipmaker NVIDIA posted a blowout earnings report and outlook. Those shares up 9%. Shares of Boeing, though, down almost 8%. That's after admitting it's burning through cash amid its quality control and delivery issues. Google's owner Alphabet and Facebook owner Meta Platforms both holding discussions with major Hollywood studios about licensing films and shows for use in their artificial intelligence video software. And U.S. dairy farmers whose cows have contracted bird flu will get paid by Uncle Sam for lost milk sales. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Now more of Dollars and Cents with certified financial planner Joshua Dobi on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us into the second half, 26 minutes, 28 seconds until we get there. Boom, until we get to the finished tape. Which, by the way, I mean, it's Thursday. Or what do you call it? This Little Friday, right? This Little Friday.
Yes,
Thursday,
Little Friday.
Little Friday. And you may have an extended weekend. We've got the holiday weekend coming up.
Very excited about this.
So that you may have, if you stretched it, you got an extra vacation day. You may want to take tomorrow off. So you may be listening to this while you're getting finished up for the week. That'd be amazing. All right. That's not true here, but I hope it is true for you. Now, one place, especially if you're on vacation, that you're going to at least want to consider, meaning that you're going to want to take into consideration because of what I'm going to say next. Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, you may say, okay, why am I going to go to Indianapolis, Indiana? Well, because you'll have the opportunity to rent. This is, I think it's on VRBO, if I remember correctly. Coming up in, I think it's September, either August or September, you have the opportunity to rent a 5-bedroom home for 3 nights, I believe, for $10,257. You may be saying, why in the world would I want to rent a 5-bedroom home outside of Indianapolis for over $10,000 for a couple of days later on in the summer or in early fall? Well, this particular home happens to be 1 mile from where Taylor Swift will be performing. Now this, I know, Producer Bill, I know you're shaking your head. Unbelievable, the financial impact that Taylor Swift. I don't care if you like her, don't like her. I don't listen to her music. I may or may not have members of my family that do, way too much. But we're $10,000. Now I should also provide some context here, so that you know what, and somebody's going to pay it. I mean, at least in my experience, somebody is absolutely going to pay it.
That's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
You've said a few unbelievable things today.
I mean, I don't even know what to say after. When I read that, this is the Wall Street Journal, folks. You don't have to believe me. I mean, this literally is in the Wall Street Journal. Over $10,000 for 3 nights, I believe. Now, Norm, I got to provide some context. So it's a 5-bedroom house. It's a big house, right? So this is not a hotel room or something like that. Last year, same time, $2,600. So almost 4 times as much for those same dates the following year because Taylor Swift there. Whew. I mean, that's folks, that is supply and demand. I mean, it literally is. Plus, you're a mile away. I mean, that's a walk.
Right.
Right after a concert. I mean, it's not like you're right next to the arena or something like that where you kind of, just stumble out of your seat, stumble. No, it's a mile. So if you're walking, if you don't want to pay those crazy parking fees, if you're walking, you got to walk a mile still, $10,000. That's before you buy the ticket.
Correct.
That's before you buy. I mean, are there T-shirts anymore? I'm dating myself.
Oh, yeah.
So there are concert
She'll
T-shirts.
have some T-shirts.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Whatever sells.
Yeah.
I tell you, I don't know who her people are,
Right.
but whoever her people are relative to marketing her and to merchandising her, unreal.
Right.
They figured it out.
Speaks for itself. Yes.
It figured it out. Now let's keep going along that performance line of things. This literally was coming out. I think the president was being of this organization was being interviewed on one of our major business news channels just before I came on live here. And this really is a segue. So I wanted to share with you, first of all, about $10,000 for a 3-night stay in Indianapolis later on this summer if you want to do that. But and if you do, that's great. I'm sure the folks who own that home will be more than happy to chat with you. But this is it's quite a bit more serious. And this will have absolute impact on the concert experience and really entertainment experience, not just concerts, but the entertainment experience if this moves significantly. The Department of Justice, just before I came online here, the Department of Justice announced a lawsuit against Live Nation, a publicly traded company, ticker symbol Larry Yellow Victor, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold, Live Nation. Now, you may not even know Live Nation, but I'll bet you've heard of the company that I'm going to say next, which is actually a subsidiary of Live Nation, and that is Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster manages overwhelmingly. I'm not going to say the percentage because I wasn't able to verify that before I came on the air, but let's say overwhelmingly the large-scale entertainment ticket process for large ticket venues. So looking at things like big-time sports events, looking at big-time concerts, those kinds of festivals, big time, not the small stuff. Talk about the big-time stuff. I know that I recently went to a major league ballpark, and I had to go through a Ticketmaster experience there, and there are fees associated with it. And there we go. See, Producer Bill, you're so good. More than 70%. I'll bet 70 or 80% for live markets. So 70% overall, 80% for live concerts. I'll bet it's even higher than that. I mean, I just feel like it is, especially for the big time stuff. But they just was announced by the Department of Justice that they are bringing an antitrust lawsuit against Live Nation because of the assertion by the Department of Justice, and I have to call it an assertion at this point because nothing's been proven, and of course Live Nation is already out saying this is completely baseless and false, that Live Nation, specifically through Ticketmaster, has a monopoly with regards to the market for the management and distribution of tickets. And Live Nation has been very, let's say, vocal, which I would expect them to be, as this was announced, saying that these prices are set by the performers, or these prices are set by the teams and by the venues, and that the fees associated with them largely go to them. I don't know. I don't know enough about the breakdown in that to be able to say, but I can say that, again, Ticketmaster is pervasive in terms of the sale and management process of tickets for large-scale events like big-time concerts, like big-time sporting events. It's going to be very interesting to see, because if it is determined, meaning the Department of Justice keeps going, and they win either in a settlement or some level, if they actually do go to trial, or if there's some kind of settlement process with Live Nation, it will change the ticketing process. Now, what does that mean? I don't know, but it will change, meaning if other players are allowed to be in the mix of things or encouraged or even incentivized to be in the mix of things along with Ticketmaster, it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm very interested in it, not because I go to a bunch of concerts. I do go to professional sporting events, and you may go to concerts and you may go to professional sporting events. It's probably going to impact you in some way if this moves forward. So very interesting. Department of Justice announcing a lawsuit against Live Nation. Live Nation owns Ticketmaster, and so it's going to be very interesting to see what that is. All right, so we got Taylor Swift, we got tickets, we talk seafood. What's next? How about your own island? And I'm not just talking about any island. I'm talking about Tarpon Island, which is just off of Palm Beach, Florida. All right, so you probably have heard of it, maybe even seen pictures about it. Tarpon Island, it is a private island, and I'm sorry, it has just come off the market. So if you were thinking about Producer Bill, if you were looking at it perhaps, you probably had it on your saved favorites on Zillow.
Yes.
And you're kind of watching it to see where the price is. And you may have taken a look at it when the price was dropped.
Sure.
Right? And so the initial price drop was right around between 20 and 25% was the price drop.
Oh, I remember.
And you say, well, wow, that sounds, maybe I'll take a look at that. Well, I probably should have some context on that kind of thing. So the starting price was $187 million. Dollars for not just the island, but you get the 29,000 square foot house that actually resides. That is the whole island,
correct? And
it has the beach access. So it was reduced, and the settlement price, the actual sale price was not 187, reduced price $150 million.
Right.
So $150 million by an Australian investor. He happened to be connected with Blackstone at one point. I know he may have even been up in the C-suite with them. But he's an Australian investor. Michael Durrell recently purchased Tarpon Island, and again connected by a bridge to Palm Beach, Florida, which is obviously one of the most exclusive, ritzy, fancy places in Florida to live. Well, if it's not fancy enough, and you just want to be removed but not completely removed, so you're still connected by bridge. Right, you don't need to take a boat or a helicopter.
I mean, king of the castle.
I mean, you own it.
Yeah,
I mean,
awesome.
it's everything you see on your.
Does he own
island.
the bridge too?
Great question.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Like, was that something? Yeah, is that something?
Maybe
that,
I'll put some money on the bridge.
Did the owner have to build that?
Right.
Exactly. Or is that something they went to, the Florida Department of Transportation and said, hey, I'm going to buy this island. I need you to connect me up. Right. I doubt that happened.
Yeah, right.
but sure. $150 million. And again, on top of that, 29,000 square foot house. Now, that may or may not be, when we're looking at that may or may not be almost exactly 20 times larger than my first house. And when I say that, I mean that you could put the square footage of my first house 20 times inside that place. What do you do with 29,000 square feet? Seriously, it's because
I have to comprehend it first.
I
wrap my head around it.
Is it basketball courts and tennis courts and swimming pools?
Yeah.
Those are kind of larger square footage kinds of things because you could stuff them all in there and still have room to spare. I think you wouldn't feel too cramped whenever you're sitting at the breakfast table. 29,000 square feet, man. How many people? What, like 15 families?
Right.
That you could put into something like that. $150 million. I don't know if you watch that kind of stuff. I thought it did catch my eye. It was amazing to see that. And of course, some of the pictures, again, Tarpon Island, they're just off of Palm Beach in Florida. It's out there. It's public record. That's probably the music that's playing in that 29,000 square foot house.
Oh yeah.
Like when you walk in,
throughout the house.
Yeah. And you just, somebody hands you a fruity drink with an umbrella in it. And I would assume that's not a big deal if again you paid $150 million for that island. So very, very interesting stuff. Now, what's good about that, meaning that if you want to actually travel there, gas prices have gone down. Very interesting. Year over year, if you're taking a look at gas prices, especially as we're coming into the Memorial Day holiday, and the driving season or vacation season, very interesting to see that year over year that actually gas prices have come down. That's unusual. Usually you're starting to see some level of escalation, but we're actually 5% down. Now that's interesting. Now it's tracking the price of a barrel of oil, which happens to be in the low to mid 70s right now. But very interesting to see that kind of thing, that the prices actually come down. Is that going to hold? Is that going to maintain through the summer? Tough to know. We're going to be watching it. Well, friends, thank you so much for hanging with us here on Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial. We're going to take a break and come back for the fourth quarter here on WSIC.
Dollars and Cents with your host, certified financial planner Joshua Dobi, continues straight ahead on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
We're really starting to lock into a summertime weather pattern over the next few days and into the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Heat and humidity coming back. We're in the upper 80s this afternoon with sunshine to start, but dodging scattered showers and thunderstorms for the afternoon and evening. Overnight, a partly cloudy sky. The showers and storms will taper off. Temperatures dip down into the mid-60s. It's a copy and paste kind of weather day heading into our Friday. And that's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live in Mooresville offers up free music on Thursday, May 23rd with a performance by area favorite and Carolina's premier rock and roll cover band, Black Glass. Event time is 6:30 p.m. with the concert powered by Waves Entertainment beginning at 7. Friday is Live Under the Oaks at Brookdale Village in Huntersville. Justin Minton's solo music performance of rock, R&B, and soul begins at 6 p.m. Grab your chairs and head to the Brookdale stage on Friday night for free music by Justin Minton. The Charlotte Motor Speedway has high-speed NASCAR racing for Memorial Day weekend. On Friday, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series holds the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. The ARCA Series is also in action on Friday with the General Tire 150. On Saturday, the NASCAR Cup Series holds their qualifying session, and the Xfinity Series races in the Bet MGM 300. Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series competes in one of their crown jewels, the 65th running of the Coca-Cola 600. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for tickets and information. The Kane Center for the Arts welcomes Philip Hamrick on Friday, May 31st for his album release celebration. The singer-songwriter from Mooresville releases his first solo album as an independent artist with The Tunnel Club. Hamrick's personal stories are delivered through vocals and acoustics. Doors open at 7 p.m. with Hamrick's The Tunnel Club album release celebration at 8 p.m. on Friday, May 31st. For tickets, more information on this show and many other programs, visit canearts.org. That's C-A-I-N arts.org. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
It's Dollars and Cents with certified financial planner Joshua Dobi on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. Fourth quarter of today's show, exactly 12 minutes. I had to say that quickly until we get to the 5 o'clock hour, and I appreciate you spending these last couple of minutes with us. You may have a long weekend. If you bolted on that Friday day off tomorrow in order to go along with that Monday holiday, well, you got to afford. Just the thought of that. Now, nobody here in this place is going to have that kind of schedule, but I hope you do. And you can enjoy the holiday weekend and hopefully some good weather to boot as we, let's say, mostly officially kick off the summer season. So good stuff there. Now, somebody who's not having a good holiday weekend would be the folks at Boeing. Ticker symbol Bravo Alpha, BA, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold Boeing. Now, you've heard me talk about Boeing here on Dollars and Cents, previous shows, and talking about some of the significant challenges through which they're going. And they had some significant safety issues that have been discovered, and they're in talks with the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, with regards to some of the safety concerns in the manufacturing process for their Dreamliner 787 and also the 737 MAX at Boeing. That's still ongoing. But what's going on in addition to that, yes, in part, I think because of this, because they've had to reduce production as many folks have reduced their orders or eliminated their pending orders altogether for the second quarter in a row. Now we're talking about a big company. Now Boeing's a big company, $100 billion plus market cap. So we're talking about a big company here, but for the second quarter in a row announced that they are going to be cash flow negative, meaning lost $4 billion. $4 billion. That's 2 quarters in a row. They lost more than $4 billion during the last quarter. This most recent quarter, also $4 billion. And what made it even worse is they're saying that going forward, they don't see this turning around very quickly anytime soon. So a challenge for Boeing shareholders there in terms of thinking about it. You may see it as an opportunity. You may say, well, the stock price is going to take it on the head, which it certainly did today, and see it as an opportunity to buy, or you may be concerned about their long-term prospects. Again, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold. Boeing really just bringing that to you because it is, certainly here in the States, it is the dominant airplane manufacturer here in the States. Airbus overseas. In France, they're certainly their counterparts in terms of size and ability to produce those large airplanes that we fly on commercially. And but in terms of what it's going to mean for the company, I mean they're in tough shape right now. Dave Calhoun is going to step down as CEO under a tremendous amount of pressure to do so here by the end of the year, and that's. It's going to be a change in leadership. It's going to be a change in style. What does that mean in terms of where Boeing's going to be? What's that going to mean for the stock price? Don't know at this point. But certainly, this most recent announcement was not the kind of thing that was really, let's say, obviously embraced well by the market, and it's going to be a little bit before Boeing perhaps gets its feet under them again. So again, losing some big cash here in the last quarter. All right, so we're going from airplanes. What's next? Yeah, we're coming back to food. No, it's not seafood at this point. We already did Red Lobster. Let's come into McDonald's, and I'm looking at McDonald's again, publicly traded, ticker symbol Mary Charlie David, MCD. Not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold McDonald's, but I mean, certainly one of the most ubiquitous names out there. I mean, it's Coca-Cola style. It's IBM style. I mean, it certainly is almost universally known. But there was some commentary that I read here over the last couple of days with regards to the prices at McDonald's. And I found it very interesting. I mean, if you've gone to McDonald's, Producer Bill, I mean, are you a drive-through kind of guy? Do you zoom through there at any time or anything along?
Actually, I'm pretty proud to say I haven't done it in a while.
See, good for you.
Yeah.
See, that's
I'm about to give myself. I might have to stop in on the way home. Treat myself a little.
Well, it's going to be a treat because of what I'm going to say next. The prices at McDonald's here over the last 5 years, literally, in some instances, tripled over the last 5 years. And there were several instances in this white paper talking about the increase in prices. I mean, prices on the Big Mac doubled in the last 4 years. The prices on a French fries also more than doubled here in the last 4 years. And that's a lot. I mean, and again, it's not me pointing a finger at McDonald's saying, how dare you do that kind of thing. McDonald's is responding to a whole collection of variables in an algorithm, right? Not the least of which are the ones that I'm going to say next. First of all, it has to do with their cost of acquisition, meaning that what is the cost of the raw materials, in this case, the food product that they're buying from their vendors, from their suppliers, and then you have cost of labor. Then you have trying to address what is always a very fickle market with regards to tastes and what the market wants. But then also they're doing it with demand. And at least to this point, it appears that they're able to find a space where they're able to raise those prices. And at least to this point, the demand has not waned terribly, at least nothing that I've seen at this point in terms of their reporting. So, but very interesting to see. So when we're talking about here the effects of inflation, which we've talked about a lot here on Dollars and Cents in previous shows, we've talked about the effects of inflation here over the last couple of years. We've talked about the effects of higher interest rates, and we've talked about what's the consumer doing. I mean, you heard me drop a not so great data point last week, which it continues to be true. I wish I could say it was done this week, but it certainly is not. We're rolling credit card debt, meaning the kind of credit card debt which is not paid off every month has increased by over a third, over 33% in 1 year. Folks, that's huge. That is a tremendous amount of additional credit card debt that we as a nation have taken on here just in the course of the last 12 months. So that at a certain point, the music stops. I mean, you can't keep moving in that direction because at a certain point you run out of credit. You are unable to make a higher monthly payment on those balances. I mean, the math eventually wins, no matter what. The math eventually wins, and at this point, that's what appears to be happening. Now, we have some positive things that are out there. And yes, I am going to get to the markets here, so hold on. But so we certainly have some positive things that are out there. Unemployment, unbelievably low. Unbelievably low. Again, I try to admit my ones that I've missed as much as I crow about the ones that I hit. So let me say that, again, as interest rates are starting to rise here about 2 years ago, I very quickly said here on Dollars and Cents, very quickly said, we're going to see a rise in unemployment. And I was looking at it from an historical standpoint, not to defend myself, but that was historically what had happened. Folks, we have not seen it. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody has the job that they desire. It doesn't mean that everybody is exactly in the professional space that they want. But generally speaking, what it means, because we still have a sub 4% unemployment rate, generally what it means is if you want a job, you can get one. I mean, truly, it really, that's when we have the size of workforce that we have with a sub 4% unemployment rate, that essentially means everybody that wants a job can get one. May not be the job you want, but if you want a job, you can get one. And that's very, very interesting, especially with where interest rates have moved here over the last 2 years. So that's on the positive side of things. So you look at a company like McDonald's raising prices. Well, at least to this point, it appears like folks have been able to sustain it. Walmart, I told you about last week, came out with earnings and was very, I would call them robust. And that's hard to do with a company like Walmart, which is working on such thin margins. But they were very, very positive in terms of their margins and saying the consumer looks to be, from their standpoint, insofar as purchases, ongoing future purchases of Walmart are concerned, looks pretty good. And they were pretty upbeat about it, and the market really liked that. So there are some positive things out there as well. But there's a fiscal reality that the consumer at a certain point is going to address. And we're starting to see things rise. You've heard me talk about this. We're starting to see things rise like delinquencies on auto loans. We're starting to see later payments on mortgages, meaning folks who are greater than 30 days late on paying their mortgage. Not huge numbers, not a reason for us to say that things are crashing or that's the ominous look at things. But it certainly has been true that we've been going along an extended period of time now where the effects of interest rates and higher inflation really haven't been felt overall in the market yet. When I say overall, it's not because things aren't more expensive, but the consumer hasn't stopped spending to this point. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to watch the summer, obviously, going into the fall, and then always the ever-present Christmas shopping season, what that means, where the consumer is in that realm of things. It's going to be interesting. But anyhow, so with regards to McDonald's, very, very interesting in terms of the intensity of growth in their prices. And again, it's not me saying that's a bad thing or a point at McDonald's. They're responding to the algorithm. And the algorithm says, A, it's more expensive to put food on the counter here, and then there is a demand by the public for it. So that's what they're doing on their end of things. All right, market-wise here in the last couple of minutes, let's talk about it. Let's talk about, though, how the market has narrowed, again, at least from the things that I'm watching. Doesn't mean that things are overall negative, but certainly the highest, biggest performers, when I say the highest, I mean the ones that have grown the most here over the last 4.5 months since the start of the year. Once again, you're looking at the technology sector. You really are. And it's not because everything else has done poorly, but the biggest numbers, you heard me talk about NVIDIA being up over 100% in 4.5 months. That's crazy. I really hope you owned NVIDIA. Actually, I hope you owned NVIDIA. Heck, I hope you owned NVIDIA yesterday. If you bought it yesterday, it was up 9% today. So I hope that you had it. Not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold it, but it's been a great run if you own it. So that's where you're seeing the most outrageous gains. But there have been other things that are positive, but just not as much. I'm looking at the oil and energy sector. Has been positive this year, actually even double digits, as measured by the most popular indices for the energy sector. So it's still in a positive kind of space. The only real sector that we've seen in terms of publicly traded companies that's in the negative right now, and I'm talking about equities at this point, because actually the bond market has been negative this year. If you look at the most popular bond indices, they have been negative for this year, about 3 or 4%, depending upon which one you're tracking. But the only sector on the equity side, let me call it major sector on the equity side, which has been negative this year that we watch, is real estate. So very, very, very interesting to see that. Outside of that, various degrees of positive in terms of performance this year. So just be careful. Always, always, always be mindful when it comes to your portfolio. Always, always, always be mindful of chasing the hot thing. I know there are companies out there that have done amazingly well, and it is obscenely tantalizing to go chase them. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. I'm not saying you can't make money doing that. Momentum trading is an absolute science, and you can absolutely do it. But make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Make sure you're doing it for ways that work to accomplish your long-term goals. Don't just do it because you're seeing it on TV or you hear people like me chatting about it on the airwaves here. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Very, very important to do that. Well, friends, I've appreciated so much you hanging with us here on this week's version of Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I hope you have a wonderful holiday weekend. Enjoy that time with family and friends, and come back next week here on WSIC.
serving you better than ever before. WSIC, Statesville, W290.